Okay, we're good. Sweet. You want to kick us off with our little intro, Max?
Yeah, definitely can. Let me pull up everything here. And man, it is good to be back. But what is up, everybody? We are calling all nerds, and you answered the call, the beacon in the sky, if you will. We are your friendly neighborhood hosts that talk about everything within the entertainment zeitgeist, and we are so excited to talk about some amazing stuff tonight, some really fresh stuff. As Tyler has literally just ended the final episode of WandaVision, and this week we're actually going to be taking a break from video game talk and really kind of focus our all into what we thought about WandaVision as a whole. And I don't know about you, Tyler, but I was thinking, I know our kind of title for this episode is our like spoiler review of WandaVision, but I was thinking kind of like what we were talking about, making the first part of it spoiler free as we go over like this general overview of the show and our thoughts and what we loved on like a high level, and then really kind of dig into the nitty gritty of this universe. And we'll give everyone a spoiler warning so that they can turn it off if they haven't watched the show yet, and then come back and listen to the rest.
Yeah, definitely. I will. I'll try to in the post stuff. Maybe like in the description of the YouTube video, or maybe just like insert a little blip of audio somewhere in the podcast to let you know, hey, if you're wanting just to skip ahead, hit to this time frame, or if you're wanting to just straight up head off, because I assume after we start hitting spoiler, that will be, well, no, because if you want to still come back to hear about the games we're playing, entertainment of the week and stuff, you can jump back into that. Unless, actually, we could do that. You want to just like bring all that stuff to the front, so it makes it easier for people to where if we kind of like talk about all that stuff now, the rest of the podcast is purely WandaVision. And then when someone is done listening, they could just head off. They don't have to worry about, oh, let me skip ahead or anything. It can just be like, hey, yeah, this is it. So
yeah, I love it, man. Let's do that.
Okay, cool. So I guess with some little video game stuff, we're going to kind of shift this around. So first, let's just look at some of these upcoming games according to Game Informer. Upcoming games for March, which I didn't know this, but a new Harvest Moon game came out like 3 days ago.
One World, is that what it's called?
Yeah, apparently that came out for the Switch on the 2nd. And then looks like we have a game called Marquette, Neptunia, Virtual Stars, Yakuza Like a Dragon, the PS5 edition, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2, R No Surge DX, Seal No Surge DX, Loop Hero, Sea of Solitude Director's Cut, 2 Point Hospital Jumbo Edition, Apex Legend, the Switch released, Gensou Skydrift, Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 4, Crash Bandicoot 4, it's about time. Looks like it's the PS5 and Switch versions. Kingdoms of Amalur, Re-Reckoning, and
I used to love that game.
Mundun, I think so.
Yeah, sure.
RBI Baseball 21, Samurai Showdown, Savior of Sapphire Wings, and Stranger Sword City Revisited. And the last, for kind of like mid-March, we'll just stop at Stubbs the Zombie and Rebel Without Posts. So those are apparently the upcoming games up to at least March 16th.
Sounds great.
Out of
You're having
list,
a slow year, man.
I know. Out of that list, I was like, well, I did get Yakuza. I just got that before we started watching
yes,
the WandaVision.
so good.
So I'm going to be playing that, I guess. But even looking a little bit further down on this list of upcoming March games, it's like there's nothing. Apparently Kingdom Hearts is coming to PC, though. That's a little interesting.
Yeah, all of them. Like every single Kingdom Hearts video game is coming to PC on the 30th, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Which makes it, other than Switch, it'll be completely cross-platform at that point.
Yeah. Wow. I've never even thought about Kingdom Hearts on a Switch. That would be
It's kind of weird to think about.
It's so weird because it's such a PS2 title.
I know.
It feels wrong that it's on an Xbox.
I
Oh
know.
man. Well, those are the upcoming games, and then some games that we are playing. I currently been playing Dead Cells, old school RuneScape, which I usually play, and like I just said, I'm going to be starting Yakuza. I just got it on the PS5, so that will be to come. What about you? What you playing?
Nice. So I am actually right now, as we speak. No, I'm just kidding. Playing Yakuza Like a Dragon also on my PC. Um, and I'm absolutely loving it. I'm like 55 hours into it and nowhere near the end of this game story wise. But that's because I'm literally digging into every single mini game and side quest that I can find just to 100% this game.
Yeah, I heard it's like a
And
100-hour
yeah.
platinum.
Oh yeah, it's a long game if you want to invest the time into it. And I will say, I mean, it's a trademark for the Yakuza series, but the mini games almost make this game like worthwhile. I would say, like the story itself is really good. I actually really enjoy the English dub of it,
Yeah, it's
um,
not bad so far.
and the gameplay. The what?
Yeah, it hasn't been too bad so far. I mean, I watched the opening, just like cutscenes and stuff, and I was pretty surprised. It's a pretty
Yeah,
nice like voiceover.
yeah, they did a really great job with the dub. The cutscenes are very long. Like sometimes,
Yes.
especially near the beginning, it feels like you're watching a movie.
Yeah.
Um, But I honestly really enjoy it. But I mean, they just in every Yakuza game, the mini games are just such a huge amount of fun to just dive into. I completely learned for the first time in any Yakuza game how to finally play and beat mahjong,
Oh, that's
and shogi.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like just learning all these different like Japanese like table games is really really fun. They have like their own version of Mario Kart in the game. There's Virtual Fighter. Um, there's a golf course like Top Golf. They have they have a baseball like a baseball area. There's karaoke. I mean, there's just so much stuff to do outside of the main story. But I think one of the reasons why this game has really grabbed me where the other Yakuza games have not is one, I find the main character has a lot more depth in this one than Kiryu did in the original Yakuza series. Um, but the gameplay of it is just so much fun, just the turn-based traditional Japanese RPG kind of thing. And it's because the main character loves Dragon Quest. Like he kind of talks over and over again about how he kind of grew up playing Dragon Quest, and that's kind of what he wanted to become was a hero. And so I that's honestly why the title is called Like a Dragon. It's like a Dragon Quest kind of game, kind of, except set in like actual modern day Japan kind of thing.
That makes sense. That's cool.
Yeah. And so yeah, I've just been enjoying that. I hope you really love it too. And then
Thanks.
I've also been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, um, which I honestly never thought I would play another Assassin's Creed game again. Especially, but honestly, this one has kind of found its sweet spot for me. The game looks absolutely gorgeous and stunning on PS5. Running at 60 frames per second, the colors pop and everything. It's beautiful,
Hmm.
but they just kind of took out everything I disliked about Odyssey and Origins, and I don't know, it works well for me as a player. Like I don't have to worry about picking up like thousands and thousands of swords that I'm never going to use and have to just sell for money. Like the loot is like very personal. Like it's like, okay, you will only find like 4 axes in this game or 4 chainmail or whatever. Like there's only specific sets of weapons and armor, and everything else you find is important to use to upgrade those things. And it never feels grindy. Like it just kind of feels like I'm going through the flow of the world, and gathering as much as I can to 100% it. And I love that they figured it out. I think if all of the games are like this moving forward, I may just have to jump back into the series as a whole.
Yeah, they really like set a new standard for their games because it definitely has you wanting more, and I feel like Assassin's Creed is never just fully like it's never fully died off. Like sure I didn't play a lot of the other ones, like what you were saying as well, like Odyssey and Origins and such. But I've never just
Right.
been like, oh yeah, I just kind of hate Assassin's Creed now. It's still just been like it always looks so interesting the first time you see like the new Assassin's Creed game, and it's pretty fun watching like other people play them. And I feel like that's just where I
Right.
was always at. I always loved maybe having someone on a Twitch stream and me doing something else, but like I got the entertainment watching someone else play Assassin's Creed. It's just nice now that it's like, oh, I want to play the game again. And so that's my drive, is to not just watch someone. I want to be that person playing. So
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like Assassin's Creed is always just kind of that, at least for me, that like B rank kind of open world
yeah,
RPG game. Like it's not
yeah.
like you're never gonna get the greatest thing in the world,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like comfort food. It's like, oh, okay, this is good. It's just
Yeah.
nothing like it's not like Red Dead Redemption 2 or
Oh no, not at all.
like something that like on that level of like storytelling, which kind of sucks that like it's never there, but it's still something that I enjoy playing. I just kind of know what I'm gonna get. And finally, I feel like they found their sweet spot specifically for me. I feel like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
because that's
I'm
honestly
glad that you're enjoying
thing.
it. That's cool.
Yeah, and just even thinking about it, I think that's honestly the reason why Breath of the Wild, for instance, never caught me, was because I never loved the idea of just having to constantly manage like hundreds of weapons, things dropping all the time from enemies that I may not need or care about. Um,
It felt like
I don't
waste of
know.
assets. It's like you guys created
Yeah,
all of these weapons and whatnot, and it was like, why?
yeah, it's like just give me like specific things that I need and let me choose what I want to use. And it's
Yeah,
like, yeah,
exactly.
but yeah. Other than that, though, I these are two great games. I'm really enjoying them. They'll probably keep me busy for months to come, most likely, since nothing really great is coming out for a while. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah, it definitely seems a little dry, but
Yeah.
there's still some fun things out there because like every week we like to tell you guys what you should be playing, watching, reading, or any of that good jazz. Um, so entertainment of the week, Max. What do you think people should be getting into this week?
So I want to recommend a TV show this week, and I have this one is on HBO Max if you have that subscription service. But I wanted to recommend Young Justice, and this is an animated DC Universe show, kind of for me in the realm of Teen Titans, where it's just very good storytelling for the group of like young Justice League. Like you have Aqualad, Kid Flash, Robin.
Aqualad, I love that.
Oh yeah, Aqualad. I mean, you got Superboy, and I always forget her name. I think they, yeah, I don't even want to butcher her name. It's like Alien. What is the alien from Justice League Maneater or
Oh,
I
the
can't-
green guy?
yeah, the green guy, Martian Manhunter. That's it. Um,
Yeah. For some
it's
reason, I kept on
yeah,
thinking
it's like
Martian from Looney Tunes. I was like, wait, what is his name?
right. Yeah, he's always the one I forget about, just because I don't honestly watch that much DC outside of these shows. But she's like his nephew or like related to him in some way. Like all of these characters are
Oh,
pretty much the younger version of like the Justice League members themselves. Like Aqualad is obviously related to Aquaman, Kid Flash,
Aqualad.
Robin under Batman. And it's just really fun. It reminds me a lot of Teen Titans. It's just a group of these kids, teenagers that are trying to figure out their way and um, how to handle their powers and work to kind of keep up and be on the same level of respect and dignity as the Justice League. And the story is just really fun and really uh, tense sometimes. Like it's a pretty serious story, but they do it super well. I've never been a huge fan of Warner Brothers like DC cinematic universe, but they've never failed to grab me with their animated TV shows with like Batman and all of the different heroes. So I wanted to definitely recommend that one because that was definitely probably after Teen Titans my favorite DC
Mm.
animated series right now.
Yeah, fun fact. I actually like DC more than I like Marvel. So I've watched a lot of the DC animated stuff from Batman, Batman Beyond, Justice
Yes.
League. The Justice League animated is pristine.
Yeah, it's so good.
Obviously, Teen Titans is good. I've read a ton of DC comics. I'm definitely more of a
Dude,
DC fanboy.
if you have not watched Young Justice, then you have to check it out because it is
Yeah,
so good.
yeah. I think I might. I've been noticing it popping up a lot on my feed on HBO because
Hmm.
I watch very similar things to Young Justice, so it keeps on saying like, check this out, and I'm like, okay, I'll get to you. Got like 70
Yeah,
other shows.
I
But
know,
good. I'm
right?
glad to hear that it's
Gotta
good.
keep
That's
it up.
awesome.
Thanks. What about you, man?
So for me is Attack on Titan. It was actually kind of hard to pick this week because I feel like this week really all I was doing was work. And so typically whenever I do entertainment of the week, I think about what I was doing this past week and I try to think of like, oh, what was something fun that I was like doing a lot of, and really this week has just been straight work. And so I was like, man,
Yeah.
did I play any games? And I was like, no, not really, at least not something I've not already like recommended. And then I remembered that it was yesterday or maybe the day before Peter and I were watching Cabaneri and the Iron Fortress, which was the people who made
So
Attack
good.
on Titan. They're like anime only show, so it has no manga or anything. But
Yep.
as Peter and I had both already seen it, or at least I think he's seen part of it. I know I've seen the full thing through, but anyways, as we were watching it, I started Googling things like I didn't know it was anime only. And I was like, hey, is there a season 2? And people are like, no words on it. It's, there's no manga. It's just like an anime. And then I started getting kind of discouraged because I was like, oh, that's kind of boring. Like, there's nothing much left because I know the ending of it does kind of lead up to like a, hey, we learned some new info. Like, what are we going to do with it? So then I started getting a little annoyed and I was like, I want resolution. Then I looked over at Peter and was like, why don't we just watch Attack on Titan? so, so we started Attack on Titan. I have in the past gotten to probably about the halfway point of season, or almost the halfway point of season 1. But we started over from the beginning. We got up to, I would say, the first major plot twist of the series. So we're about we're 7 episodes in, and it's really good. I was one of those. I don't know. For me, Attack on Titan always kind of felt like My Hero Academia, where it was just like super hyped and everyone always talked about it. And I don't know, sometimes that steers me away from animes. I don't know why it does. It just sometimes it really gets to me where I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want to do what all the cool kids are doing. I want to be my own. I want to be a rebel. So
You want to be the hip guy.
I
Yeah.
guess so. So I don't really like My Hero Academia, but that's a different topic. And so I've always treated Attack on Titan the same way. I was like, it's just some like overhyped bologna ham and cheese. And we started watching it, and I was like, okay, this is pretty good. I could tell that in just the first 7 episodes, we've already seen one massive plot twist, and a lot of very smaller, not plot twists, but very big turning points. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, these are packed in just the first few episodes. It seems like almost every episode ends with something where you're like, whoa, that was kind of big, or like, wow, that was really sad, or holy cow, that's heavy. So it's just kind of it's pretty interesting. I mean, this is just season 1, but I know that you have talked about how they just get better. So I'm excited to see how the show turns up. You can watch it Crunchyroll. I think, does
Mhm.
Netflix have the first seasons or just the new one?
Netflix has the first season. You can also watch the whole series on Hulu.
Oh, it's okay.
Honestly, this show is pretty much available on many streaming platforms. I don't think you can
Okay.
watch it on Amazon.
Okay.
Um, But yeah, I would say Hulu, Netflix, and Crunchyroll are probably like the main places, and Funimation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely check that out. They're on their 4th season, which is the final one, correct? And they're breaking it up to 16 episode
Yes.
halves.
Yep. 14. The season 4 that's currently airing right now has been declared the final season. This first half of it is about to end at 16 episodes, and then at a later date, probably later this year, they're going to finish it out. Which makes sense because the manga, the story is actually ending in 2 months. So that gives them plenty of time to animate the rest of the series, and then we'll see it kind of made into animated form. It's super exciting to kind of see the end of this era. Attack on Titan is such a cornerstone in anime nowadays. It's a lot of people refer to it as like kind of a huge disruptor because it doesn't feel like anime in a lot of ways. It just kind of feels like a Game of Thrones kind of shift where it's like no one is safe kind of thing. Like, and that's rare for anime to kind of go to a place like this. And I think that's why it's so special for so many people.
Yeah, I guess that should be said too. If you're not good with kind of extreme, heavy goriness, that kind of thing,
Gory blood,
it might not be for you, which is totally okay. I totally get it, but it definitely has that. So just be warned. There is a lot of death and a lot of maybe try not to get too attached kind of a thing. So there's there's that little warning.
Yeah.
But cool. So that was kind of the ending of our typical podcast brought to the front just to help you all out as far as when we're talking more about spoilers with WandaVision. But I think it's time to kind of just dive right into the main course.
Yep.
So
the end of the era.
So how did you feel overall? Before I even just say how I felt about the show, how do you feel about Marvel doing shows in general? So this is the first kind of, I don't know, first in my imagination of them having this style. What was your opinion of a Marvel series? Now that we've went through a start and finish of one, did you like it? Was it just like meh? Was it really epic? Do you feel like it worked? Didn't work? What do you think?
So my thought is this, at first when they kind of announced, or Kevin Feige announced that, phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe will be sparse between movies and TV shows through Disney Plus. At first I was kind of hesitant just because I was like, oh man, like this is going to get super complicated. You're going to have people needing to watch full on TV shows and then movies that are interconnected with said shows. And at first I thought, oh man, this is going to be really messy. But the more I heard about it before WandaVision aired, hearing that it's a one and done series, that it's only 9 episodes, whereas any Marvel show that's been done over the past, 10 years, you really only have a few. You have like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that one.
Agent Carter. These like shows that have like 6+ seasons. Agent Carter only had 2, but mainly Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. having like 6+ seasons that, from hearing from people outside of the cinematic universe, you really don't have to watch them to gain a lot of depth into the movies and the overarching story. They were just kind of there as like a nice supplement for people to watch in their weekly binge of shows outside of waiting for new movies in the first 3 phases of Marvel, right? And so hearing that this time for phase 4, they are very interconnected. I was a little hesitant. I was a little worried because I thought, oh man, they're just going to make a ton of these, really like sparse, heavy, long season shows that you just kind of have to keep up with. But it made me excited to see that not only WandaVision only being 9 episodes long and that being it, but that all of the different shows that they're planning for this phase 4 are all one-off seasons. Like they're all just like one season shows. Like the next one that's coming out in 2 weeks, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, is only 6 episodes long. And that makes me really excited, actually. I really like the idea of having these kind of, you could almost say B-level characters. Even though I would definitely say after watching the show that Wanda and Vision are top class characters at this point, even though in the movies they were very much kind of the side ones, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me excited. I feel like this season, this show of WandaVision was very special. I was worried about the quality of the acting and just how it was being presented visually. Like I was worried, are they going to kind of cheapen the budget? They did not. I felt like every episode felt like a movie in the case of how the care they put into it. Um, and I felt that the acting was superb. You know, I feel like all honestly for me it was like three main characters. I mean, you have Elizabeth Olsen, I believe is her name, playing Wanda, and she is just absolutely amazing in this show. It just really made me super excited to watch her as Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is now one of my favorite characters in the Marvel universe because of this show. And I feel like they gave her a lot of room to really breathe and become someone that we could sympathize with, but also kind of be frustrated with at the same time. And then for me, the other two standouts were definitely Paul Bettany as Vision and Catherine Hahn as Agnes, um, which are other characters that we'll delve into later. But I just thought that the acting across the board was just absolutely incredible. And overall, I was very and Tanoia Paris or Tiana. I feel I don't want to butcher her name. I believe it's you pronounce it Tiana Paris, who plays Monica Rambeau, are kind of like the four main leads. And I just thought everyone did such a fantastic job. And overall, I really loved the show. I really was kind of glad that they released it episodically every week because it just kept the hype for it going for these 9 weeks. You know, like it was something to look forward to every week. You had a week to let the internet just kind of theorize and check out all the Easter eggs that the show had to play on, even though a lot of them were teasing. It was just kind of fun to see Marvel show that they have a lot of love and care for this universe and know the origins of a lot of these storylines and story beats, but still take it in a direction that will leave us surprised. And I think that that's the reason why Kevin Feige just has the secret sauce in that regard. He just always figures out a way to give great moments for comic fans and and movie fans, but also make it entirely new and something that's great for everyone.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I still stick to what I was saying before with the idea of the show definitely came on to me as a obviously more pre-COVID thought of additional way to get money. That was kind of my feeling about the show.
Oh, yeah.
And I still grabbed that because it was very like, you know, they had Disney Plus just become a thing and they said, hey, how can we get Disney Plus to sell? Well, let's give a little twofer, right? Let's offer something that's only going to be on Disney Plus that'll give you just a little bit of added bonus. And then with that, it's going to kind of drive you a little bit more to want to go to the movie theaters where we make more of our money from box offices because it had you wanting a little something from the show. And because of that, I was going into this show with the mindset of it's gonna be all right. It's not gonna be Marvel movie level, but it's gonna be cool. And it'll be like, obviously for being Disney and being like the Marvel side of Disney, they have the funds to still make it look good. And I think they succeeded at that. I won't say I was under what am I trying to say the right word? I wasn't let down, but I also wasn't like, oh, that was so much better than I thought it would. You know what I mean? Like my expectation was definitely met. I was like, yeah, that was good. That was really nice because with that show of, like you said, it was a 9-week show, or 8-week because the first one had 2 episodes. It was a nice 2 months, and it gave
Yep.
you that Marvel taste, because the last thing that we've had has been Endgame, and now in just 2 more weeks we're gonna have the Falcon Winter Soldier one, and then shortly after, or around the same time, is when Black Widow will be coming out, the movie, right? And so it's
Right.
nice that we have this something filling the void. And
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
definitely needed. Like, it was a good show. I really did enjoy it. I had some mez about it for sure, which we'll more than likely talk about a lot of that stuff in the spoiler section. But I was satisfied. I was definitely entertained. Some episodes I was like, holy crap, what's happening next? While other episodes I was kind of just like, okay, that was cool. let's
Yeah.
see what's next week. But it was fun. Were you surprised that them two were getting a show? Like, if you could think of characters that would get a show, it could be a little hard to think about it now because it is what we have, and obviously sometimes it's a little hard to analyze the what ifs, but let's imagine this wasn't even the characters they chose. Like, who do you think, like, would that even be on your mind, of having Wanda and Vision in a show together? Did that catch you off guard at all?
It definitely did. I mean, it made sense once they announced it, just because of how things ended up for these two characters at Endgame. Um, but honestly, when I was thinking about the TV shows, Loki made sense because we see that he survives in a different reality. Um, Falcon and the Winter Soldier makes sense because of how Endgame ends and how the torch is basically given to Falcon.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that, you know, this show is going to kind of talk through that, of like, will Falcon take up the mantle of Captain America? Like
The
how is he going to deal
struggles
with
he'll
that?
go through and all that.
Right. Like does he even want to become Captain America? Like what is he going to do with the legacy that Steve Rogers has passed on to him, basically? I'm sure is going to be a key portion of the show itself. I was honestly thinking we would probably see something more in the vein of, oh, that one for sure, but maybe something with Hawkeye, which we are still
Yep.
going to get. But
I was
like
gonna
I
say
saw,
Hawkeye.
yeah, like Hawkeye. Like I did not think we would get anything for like the main players. You know what I mean? Like Spider-Man or
Yeah.
Thor or any of these characters. Like, no, like these are like big screen characters. Whereas like Falcon and Winter Soldier, although great characters in their own right, are kind of like what I was saying before, kind of like B tier.
Yep.
Like they're not as like integral to the main plot as the main Avenger cast. Even though they are Avengers,
Yeah.
they were just never given as much screen time or story beats as our main players in the first 3 phases. And so, yeah, honestly, I did see Scarlet Witch as a main player, even before this went through.
Yeah.
But really thinking about it and rewatching those movies, Wanda really, outside of like Age of Ultron, doesn't get a lot of screen time. And I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. In my head, I definitely considered her and Vision as, like, maybe not superstars. I mean, the superstars in my head are still your Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Thor.
Yeah.
Really, them in my head are kind of like this pillar of the superstars, right? And then below your superstars, you kind of have like a next layer where you have some, your Guardians casts. I definitely would put Vision and Wanda and even like Quicksilver in like the next section, where at like the bottom is kind of those Hawkeyes. And I feel like Black Widow even took a step up almost into that more middle tier, like in line with Wanda and Vision and all them, because they really did her character a lot, especially toward the end. So when I heard that Wanda and Vision was like a show, I was a little surprised. And I think that's where I was almost like, kind of concerned with my initial thought, because I was like, man, like, how do you take characters like this and like stretch out a show without like doing too much? Because you still need to you still want to put a lot of your energy into a movie. You know, that's where
Right.
you want to pump out the big guns, right? Bigger budgets.
Yeah.
They can actually have certain characters in it that they might only be able to maybe even reference, right, in other things. So I think I was just shocked on that, because I was like, oh wow, these are major players. And you know, is it going to be kind of like awkward? Is it going to feel like they stretch out too much because they don't want to give us everything, but they want to give us enough? And I had all these thoughts on how. So I was definitely pretty surprised to hear them. Wasn't surprised about Falcon and Winter Soldier. That made sense to me. I was like, that's show worthy. And I think the show is supposed to be roughly like 40 to 50 minutes long, which is great content. It's gonna be awesome.
Oh, per episode?
Yeah. So it's gonna be
that's awesome.
It should kind of be in line with the same amount of view time, give or take, with WandaVision.
Yeah.
But no, that's cool. I was just curious about maybe what you thought about the fact that they gave them two casts, especially with like Paul Bettany, because he's big. He's been in a lot of movies. He's definitely
He's phenomenal
compared to like Elizabeth Olsen. He's done, you know, so many movies.
So much stuff.
And so I feel like I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool that like he was able to do this show, because you know, he's not just Vision, he's also like other characters and a lot of other things. And I think it's kind of fun. I'm definitely a fanboy of his. I also love his accent. Can't get enough of that European accent.
Yeah, he has such a great voice. Like,
he does.
And honestly, like, he has some of my favorite lines in this entire show. But honestly, like, I was so shocked and amazed by Elizabeth Olsen. I know I already said it, but like, the stages of grief that she goes through in this show, like, it's not a spoiler. Like, this is a show about grief. This is a show about having to accept the reality of what's around you, even though you have the power to kind of manipulate your reality.
You have to accept loss.
But just realizing that you can't escape it. Yeah, you can't escape the truth. And honestly, in a lot of ways, and we'll talk about this when we get to spoilers, but it really kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you've heard of it, but it kind of reminds me of the Kubler-Ross model of the 5 stages of grief, which is like denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And literally Wanda goes through this cycle throughout the course of these 9 episodes at very specific points. And you kind of, like, looking back at the show as a whole, like, I can see those points as she goes through coping with what has happened to Vision, which is not a spoiler, because if you haven't seen Endgame, what are you doing here?
That is true.
Yeah, like Vision is dead. Like, he died. Thanos killed him in Endgame. And so this show kind of starts at a very like interesting moment, and you're just like, wait, how did we get here? What's Vision doing here? How is he alive? Like, like, it's like, there's like so many questions there. And I felt like once we got to the back half of the series, like, everything really, in terms of Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda, came together for me in a really beautiful way. That didn't make me, like I said earlier, fully sympathize with her and what was happening, but understand how she got there. And she just carried that so well. Yeah, it was just amazing. And Paul Bettany, like you said, he's just a masterclass. He's just unbelievable in everything he's in. And this really kind of, for me, solidified them both as huge players for the foreseeable future in Marvel.
Yeah, and this series is definitely enjoyable, and it allows you to have a lot of fun speculation about what's to come next. I mean, Marvel, obviously, they haven't been as quiet, in my opinion, as they typically are. Especially with like a lot of the movies and shows that they've said are coming. And so there is also like that aspect to it. But there is still some pretty fun like speculation of let's just say like, you know, everybody's been talking about the new Doctor Strange movie because it's already been made clear that one or Elizabeth Olsen appears in his new film, correct? And so you kind of think about that the whole time. At least I did when you're watching the show. And it's one thing that you might know, like, hey, she's going to be in his film, so like she probably won't die. Maybe that, you know, that's typically when you hear someone going to be in another thing, you're like, okay, they're probably going to live at the end of this. But as you're going through it, it allows you to think of, okay, well, I know she'll be in his movie, but why? What is she going to do? And so I found that the series did a great job at that. Like, it really made you speculate, okay, this movie's coming out in a year. So I wonder if this is what's going to be happening in it. Or, you know, I was even thinking about like the Winter Soldier stuff. And in my head, I'm like, man, I wonder if like these two shows are actually going to be almost like simultaneous and maybe they're happening at the same time. And are they going to even like talk about the other? And then maybe that's going to show some light on something else. And it's kind of fun. It's a different aspect because typically I feel like whenever you watch these Marvel films, you're more of like surprised and thinking like, whoa, that's what's coming up next. Like when you watched I think it was it Endgame that showed Captain Marvel as the post-credit scene? Was that the one that did it? Oh, I think I lost Max. Let me message him. I think it was Endgame though. I think that was the one though that had the Captain Marvel blip, and when you see that you're like, whoa, like Captain Marvel, that's a movie that's coming up. Whereas when it comes to like the show, you're thinking, oh, like that's what's happening, but let me try to guess how it's going to be working, but I'm not sure. All right, let me just quickly end our Discord call and recall him back. Oh my gosh, I need this thing to go away. All right. Hello? Sorry for the technical difficulties. We'll get Discord working with us here in a second. Oh, there we go. I think he's back. Oh, I see his little green blip moving. But yeah, it was a good show all in all. I definitely enjoyed it. Oh, hello?
Oh, 1 second. I'm on my PC volume now. I'm going to try to reconnect my microphone. 1 second. All right. Can you hear me now?
There we go. Awesome. Yep. Hello?
I wonder why it removes my audio.
Oh, can you not hear me anymore?
Okay. That's so weird. Can you hear me through my PC now?
Oh yeah, little different audio quality, but I can hear you.
Dang, I don't know what's going on with my mic. That's so weird. Okay. It's never a podcast without some moment of technical difficulties. So
trust me, it's not a podcast with me unless there's technical difficulties. That is definitely my thing that just travels with me.
Gosh. Well, here, let me try just one more thing real quick. I think what's happening is when I plug my mic back in, it's connecting for me both input and output, and that's why I can't hear you anymore.
Oh yeah, because there is a microphone I think on the or there is a headphone thing on the microphone that you have.
Yeah, so I'm trying to see. Let me go to settings real quick. I'm going to plug it back in, but then I'm going to try and make it so that I just want my input to be the microphone and then my output to still be the speakers. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. I think my output should still be speakers.
Hello. Can you hear me? Testing. Looks like he still can't hear me. Womp, womp, womp.
No, that didn't work.
Do you have one of those like older Apple headphone things you can like plug into your mic at all?
I actually might. Let me see.
Because I think you can. There should be something on the side of that has like a headphone jack that might work. Ooh, it feels like we're inside of Max's room.
That's because you are.
As Max rummages around the room looking for a headphone, he thinks to himself, "Crap, where are they?"
And I found them too.
You just hear a big thud. I fell.
Yeah, if you don't hear from me, call my wife.
He may need some help.
Yeah, seriously. Let's see here. Man. I keep finding headphones, but they're the ones that can just be plugged in directly to your iPhone.
Oh, so they don't have the... Wow, that's funny. Before, it used to be the total opposite. You could never find a headphone that had the right adapter.
Right. Oh, wait. I have an idea. All right. I think I found a solution.
Sweet.
Let's see here. It's fine. We can always edit this part out. Sorry for the live listeners. All right. Go. Hey, can you hear me, Tyler?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can, really loudly.
Oh. Hey, you through the microphone now?
Yeah.
There should be a slider that you can like slide it to lower the volume.
How's that?
Yeah, you can still. Am I still obnoxiously loud, or am I good?
Oh no, you're good.
Sweet, cool. All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. We got the audio issues all figured out. The last
Do you think
thing.
we can? Do you think we'll have to cut this part for the
Oh
for
yeah.
iTunes and Spotify and all that?
Yeah, we'll definitely cut it out. You all missed a lot of stuff happening. We were inside Max's room. Things fell off shelves. I'm pretty sure a meteor hit next to him. It's fine. Everything is cool. We're good.
It was very loud. I apologize for all the live listeners.
Oh boy. Well, I think honestly, it's a pretty good segue into the spoiler section. I feel like, I don't know, did you say what you wanted to? I feel like overall it was good. You know, it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I feel like I gave my overall view of how I felt about it. I really didn't want to delve into anything that actually happens in the show until we got to that spoiler talk. So I'm actually kind of glad that's kind of where we lost audio, because we were kind of ready to move on to
yeah, for sure.
the spoiler.
Yeah, definitely. Territory. So if you're watching us live right now, and you are you haven't watched the show, you want to watch the show, or maybe you just haven't watched the last episode, we are going to begin the spoiler talk. For anybody listening to a podcast on a later date, this is a great place to just pause the podcast, and then whenever you feel like coming back to this point, just pick it right back up. The rest of this podcast from this point on is all going to be spoiler content. So if you're heading out, we appreciate you sticking by. If you're staying with us, though, we're going to have a fun time talking about a lot of cool stuff. But yeah.
Let's do it.
WandaVision. So, last episode, were you like, did you feel like you got a lot of good resolution out of
that? I would say in most ways, yes. I actually was pretty happy with how things ended for Wanda. I actually thought it was going to go a lot darker.
I did too. So I thought she was going to die.
You thought she was going to die?
I really did.
I thought she was going to become a full-on villain. And honestly, with the post credit scene, that still can be the case at some point. I mean, it definitely looks like this power that she now wields is going to be something that she's going to have to kind of balance in the right way, because something that Agatha always says to her throughout this episode is like, you have the power of the damned. Like this is like evil magic. Like this is like some really bad stuff. And I think they handled that very well. I was actually very happily surprised that Wanda kind of realized what she did was wrong. You know, like there's this great moment in the final episode where, you know, she's fighting Agnes, and Agnes removes the magic that was surrounding all the townspeople, and this one lady comes up to her and she's like, I just want to see my daughter. Like, I haven't seen her in like 2 days. She's locked in her room. Like, help me. And you realize, like, these people, not just now, but like throughout like the previous episodes, you see like that Wanda is holding this entire town hostage for her to kind of maintain this dream state that she's created for herself. She's kind of sacrificing everyone else's happiness within this town, and it's really distressing. And Agatha says this great line that I think kind of hits Wanda on the head, which I honestly don't. Honestly, it probably is in regards to the stages of grief, but like she said, heroes don't terrorize people, or heroes don't
don't like hold captive and.
Yeah. Heroes don't hold people captive. And like Wanda kind of like, you see that moment in her eyes where she's like, you're right. Like I got to stop this. And so she negates the gate or the hex, even for a few minutes, to like let people leave before she realizes that if she does so, Vision and the boys will disappear with the magic that she's created. Yeah, but gosh, I was gonna ask, like, what did you think of? I guess the fights with. I'm just trying to think of where to start because I want
Yeah.
to make sure we don't just jump all over the place. But I
Yeah.
would say overall, I was very happily surprised with most of it. Some of it I was kind of disappointed about, especially Quicksilver. I was kind of like, oh, really?
You
Like, that's
mean
all we're doing
boner?
here?
That was so
Yeah,
dumb.
I've seen so many gifs of like
Oh
people
gosh.
saying like they're really going to make this into a boner joke,
That
and
was
the
stupid.
equivalent of it.
Yeah, that was so okay. We let's do we could do post credits analysis. We'll do a little section on that. And
Yeah,
then we could maybe like talk about overall like production, how we felt the fights were, and then maybe like how we felt the characters. How about that? Maybe we could talk about that kind of a thing.
yeah, I love it.
Okay.
So where would you say we start?
We could do characters because we already kind of kicked on that with like
Yeah,
Wanda and
yeah.
how we felt. So yes, well, we both agree the whole Quicksilver blip of using that was dumb. That was really really dumb in my opinion.
I just feel like it was wasted potential. Like
Yes.
obviously they did it as like a little like jab at like the
Ugh.
idea of like, oh, here come the mutants, here come the
Gosh.
X-Men.
Ugh.
Um, but obviously they decided to hold that off. We know it's eventually going to happen because
Yeah.
they're not gonna they don't they that's the thing with Marvel. They don't kind of make
They
these
don't Easter egg for
reality
nothing.
jabs. Yeah, these little Easter eggs for nothing. At some point, we are going to get the multiverse. At some point, we are going to get the X-Men,
Yeah.
mutants, all of it. Like
Yeah.
I have no doubt in my mind about that. But the fact that they could have started it here,
Would have
like
been
the
awesome.
potential was limitless. You
Yeah,
know,
it would have
like
been
and
great. All those people inside the hex were like exposed to, high magic, very like,
yeah.
cellular level manipulating magic, which mutants are just same as humans with different, cellular makeups. But yeah,
And
that
that's the
was
thing
dumb.
that yeah, and it kind of brings me to the question of so was this an alternate reality within the hex, or was this all just, according to the show, super high level magic?
Yeah, I
Did
feel
it
like
have
it was
nothing
just
to
high.
do with an alternate reality?
I feel like it didn't. I really feel like it was just that was just a fan service in a way. Putting him in there was like a way of like I don't know, like we'll see who they use for like X-Men and that kind of a thing, but
Right.
I think it was just
Yeah.
regular universe that we're in now.
Yeah. Well, it's just so weird because you know it's going to happen. The multiverse is going to happen soon. It's just like, I think in some way the hex was possibly a different reality just because a lot of what sword agents were calling it were like I forget what it is, like a material of like Big Bang material of like this is what she kind of created through the power of the Mind Stone within herself is this alternate reality, but it's like personified by Agatha as magic, as like this is magic that you're creating this alternate world. It's
Yeah.
not that it is an actual alternate reality. It's just all created by your grief, your love for the vision.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
think I I think like really for me outside of Wanda, I didn't really like how a lot of the characters ended. Like
mm,
you, I think that Wanda has a good resolution. She's accepting the fact of like her loss of vision, though I think it's a little confusing because Vision touched White Vision to give him memories, and I feel like in a way
yeah.
that would just make him Vision.
He
But
even says that as he ghosts out. He's just like,
yeah,
I am vision,
which
and then zooms away.
it's kind of annoying that he just dips out. But anyways, before I get on that guy, um,
Yeah.
I like how her outfit is awesome. I
Oh my
love
gosh, the
that
costume's freaking amazing.
they did a great job making her look come to the 21st century. They did a
Yep.
great job with that. Definitely loved it. I love that she is still coming off as a good character because I really don't want her to turn bad. Though it does scare me with her reading that book, because
The
that book,
Darkhold, is that right?
yeah, because that book actually appears in Doctor Strange. There is a section where they walk through a library and you see a lot of these grimoires, and there's like a ton of them on the wall. And he asks, I forgot the Asian man's character's name, but he asks him like, "Hey, what are those books?" And he talks about how it's the Great One's like secret collection, like special collection of like really old and powerful texts. And you can see that one of them is missing, which is the book that is now in Wanda's possession. And I'm a little nervous because in other shows that you watch, you might see sometimes with something that has kind of like magical powers around it, it can really affect who you are. Like a Horcrux. That's a great example. You remember how like Horcruxes, especially like the ones that Harry, Ron, and Hermione had to wear, like the amulet around their necklace, and how it really like almost made them turn evil. Yeah. That's what I'm afraid about with her having that book, having that text, because I feel like even if maybe her intentions aren't villainous, it could almost be like the book is gonna trap her or maybe control her
in some way. Yeah,
I think her naivety of her power is actually in her favor, because she even said that, she was saying a lot during the episode, "I'm not a witch, I don't have special powers. This is just how I am." You can kind of see towards the end of it that she's more accepting that she has magic. But I think that's again in her favor, because I feel like some people who know they're witches, I mean, look at Agatha. She went kind of nuts, right? And she was seeking this power. Whereas I feel like Wanda still feels this like, no, this is just kind of who I am. Like, I'm not a witch. I'm more of like just someone special. And I'm hoping that part of her is what helps keep her a little more sane rather than like villainous. So it'll be interesting, but I really felt like, in my opinion, she was the only character I enjoyed the ending of, because like Vision, I guess both Visions, the one Vision that she created, I thought that was very cute, because how she said it was from the Mind Stone of hers. He had a nice finale. I was a little annoyed that White Vision just peaced out. I was like, wait, what? Why are you just leaving? Okay, bye. And then like,
that very much a cop out of like, how do we get this character out of here?
Yeah, that was kind of dumb. And then the Agatha thing, I didn't understand, because she was like, "I'm gonna keep you here," but then she took away the hex, and I was like, wait, so where is Agatha now? So that part was kind of confusing. Hayward, he just got hit with a car. It's just like,
that's all that took him out. And I was like, I was thinking he was going to be way more key antagonist in this whole thing. And Darcy just takes him out by T-boning his car, and I was like, all right, that was anticlimactic.
And then with Darcy, she just dips out. They don't even give her a goodbye. And I was like,
she just literally disappears after she hits Hayworth.
It was like, what? Right. That's so odd. And then with like the kids, I always felt like the kids were kind of awkwardly placed. And I guess I think they gave them a pretty decent kind of like, hey, they're gone, but we'll see them again. They did a good job like portraying that. But as far as like more of like the main characters, obviously their version of Pietro, that was stupid.
I will say I am excited with where they're taking Monica.
Oh, okay.
Photon.
Why is that?
I just liked how in the post-credit scenes, like the Kree lady shows up and she's like, "Hey, we're gonna take you to space, and you're gonna see Captain Marvel again."
So do you like her character?
It really sets it up, yeah.
Do you like Monica's character?
I mean, I do. I feel like she definitely is a completely different character now that she has superpowers and
Uh-huh.
is basically Photon,
Yeah.
which is like her comic character that she becomes.
Yeah.
Uh, I honestly really liked her. I think she's a really fun character. Um, I definitely feel like she's, probably going to be more a central role in like Captain Marvel 2.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of think that's all she was in this for, was to kind of set up the birth of her powers, um, to then get her to space now that she can
Yeah.
survive out there, and to partner up with Captain Marvel and do superhero stuff,
I
like whatever it might be.
I think she has a lot of
But I
growing to
liked her. I
do.
thought she was pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I couldn't get into her. I guess like I actually really didn't like the acting all that much. However,
Wow.
it was definitely like I feel like the whole show was very like B tier because a lot of it was like kind of this is like a sitcom level of like dialogue and whatnot. I just couldn't.
For sure.
I couldn't.
Some of the dialogue is very cringe.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. And so I just had a hard time like getting into her character cuz I just felt like she just slightly annoyed me. Like there's the one episode where she literally gets them to get her a Mars rover and then she rams into the hex. It didn't work. So then she just runs through it. And I'm like, man, you could have saved like $10 million if you're just going to run through it yourself. Like, that was what you're going to do the whole time. Why waste it on a freaking vehicle? And that was kind of annoying. And then, like, I don't know. There was just certain things that she did. And when you see her powers at the end, it's cool. I like her look of her powers are pretty dope. And I think she has some growing to do, not like her as a person, her as the character. I think that the writers have a lot to work on, which will be fine because I think you're right. I think she's definitely going to be a main character in the next thing that she's going to be part of. And I think that's going to really help. It's going to really help boost her as who she is. And I think I'll like her more then. But kind of in this show right now, I just thought she was okay. She was fine.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. No, I'm with you there. I will say I agree with you. I don't want to stay on characters too long, but the one thing I wanted to say about Vision is I really loved the conversation that he has with White Vision in the library on the ship of Theseus. Kind of how they were talking about like who is like he was like my excuse me, my mission is to eliminate the Vision, and Vision says, well, technically I'm not the real Vision.
Mm-hmm.
he's just like, I require elaboration.
Yep.
And I just really love that whole theory of you remove all the planks, the old wood from the ship of Theseus with new ones. Is it still the ship of Theseus? Is it still the same ship? And so like he kind of says like we are both. You are like a new version of the body of the original Vision, where I am just a memory. We are neither of us actually Vision, but unless we choose to be.
Yeah.
And so like our Vision, the one that we've been with the entire show, we've known he's not the real Vision. We know he's actually dead. He's not real. He's just created from the psyche of Wanda, from her magic, from her grief. But I don't know. Like I feel like he just has the same emotional quality as our Vision from the movies had. Like you kind of see. Like I love, honestly, like I teared up a little bit at the end when like the hex is. The hex is narrowing down to their house, and he says to Wanda, like, I started off as a voice with no body. I became a body with, I forget what he says, but like basically like kind of to his name, he is a vision. He is a being that has kind of surpassed all levels of possibility. Like he started out Jarvis. Of Iron Man, became like not a human but an artificial being, like that can handle the Mind Stone, and now he's an artificial memory from Wanda, and I just really loved how he said, "Who knows what I'll be next."
Yeah.
Basically foreshadowing most likely the White Vision. But like he's like, this isn't goodbye. Like, let's say this is until I see you again.
Yeah.
Although I would really honestly kind of dislike if Wanda and the White Vision got together. I kind of hope that she just kind of moves on at this point, and that Vision just kind of gets to be his own thing. Whatever it might be. But
yeah.
But I still thought that was very powerful until White Vision just ghosts once he gets his memories.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's like, in theory, outside of everything that happened after he touched White Vision, because he is just artificial intelligence that is just loaded up with like memories, White Vision really could become, I don't want to say like like not a replacement per se. It's more of just like an older copy, but not so old, because I mean he just kind of dipped out towards the end. Really the only part it would be missing is like them going back home, and doing that whole thing. But I think I agree with you to where I wouldn't want her to become like attached to him, and I don't know if she will, because I feel like to Vision, obviously, like he's not, he's so highly advanced, and like his mind is just crazy and super smart, right? Because he's AI. I feel like almost maybe he'll know too, or maybe she'll just be like over it in a way, and like you can see that maybe she's more of content with her end with Vision. But then obviously with the post credit, she isn't accepting of her kids,
Right.
So I think that's definitely a cool way to put it. I do hope White Vision is just kind of his own thing. I think he looks dope. He looks really cool as White Vision.
Yeah, he does. I really love the blue beam. Instead of the yellow one that he has. I thought that was really cool.
How'd you feel about like the fights in the last episode? I actually didn't like them all that much. I don't know if that was just like a lower budget thing. I thought that the Vision fight, I thought that was cool, but I didn't get enough of it. I wanted more, because their fights were like cool and epic, and like, they broke the sound barrier when they like hit each other. I felt like the Wanda Agatha fight was a little awkward, and it's only for me because I don't know, when people just float, I think it looks kind of funny in movies and stuff. Because like,
gotcha.
Like Iron Man, when he flies, you see him with his like jets, and then like Spider-Man swinging through the air. Thor, he uses his hammer, and like he doesn't really do flight like other characters does. He kind of just does like long leaps, right?
Well, his hammer basically flies him.
It's like a propeller. And so when Wanda and Agatha kind of just floating, and you see these like pew pew pew, I don't know. I was like, okay, that's cool. I don't know. I felt like if it was really like a magic on magic fight, I was expecting maybe like a little bit more fun stuff. Like she picked up the car, that was cool. Like that came out of nowhere. I was expecting
out of nowhere like that.
Yeah, I was expecting more of like that stuff. Like maybe Agatha to like maybe like animate something to attack her, and she'd have to like block it, or like I just thought more of that would have been kind of fun. They just kind of threw balls at each other. So I was a little like,
purple and red balls.
Yeah.
I agree with you in some cases. I feel like, the floating didn't bother me too much in the air. That didn't really bother me. I actually thought it was kind of a cool Stark moment when like not Tony Stark, but like just a reality Stark of like when Agatha believes she's sucked in the entire power of Wanda, and Wanda's just kind of like floating there like a black like decaying corpse, and I was like, okay, that looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could have done so much more with the magic. I also think that some of the some of the dialogue they were saying to each other, how like Agatha was saying, "You are more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme." I was like, "Oh, okay, so witches and warlocks or like Doctor Strange, like they exist on the same kind of reality of like
Yeah.
we know of each other's existence."
Yep.
And so I definitely see like a battle between Doctor Strange and Wanda happening at some point
Yeah.
because of that line of like you are more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yep.
And I was like, "Oh, well, that just kind of confirms for me that something's going to go down at some point." But um it's kind of like that for me because I felt like with Doctor Strange, they did such a cool like job with the fighting style and that like like the symbols and the drawing of the
Like doing
kind of reminded me of
runes
like
and stuff.
Full Metal Alchemist a little bit, like where
Hmm.
you just kind of have to draw your signs. And I think that's what Agatha was saying was like as the Scarlet Witch, you don't have to do that stuff. You don't have to
Ah.
draw the symbols. You don't have to make portals. You literally just decide you want something to be in existence and it will be in
Mm.
existence. Like you want to
Okay.
disappear, you can disappear. Like it kind of gives her OP powers. Like she kind of can just be whatever she wants to be.
Yeah.
And so in that case, it does kind of come to me of like, just quickly veering off into the post-credit scene again. When you hear her children calling for her, it makes me wonder, okay, is Mephisto going to be in this thing? And
Yeah.
if he is, like, is he holding her children hostage? And by holding them hostage, is she going to have to fight the Avengers? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
to kind of save them.
Yeah.
Like, I could see something like that possibly happening, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I would say, yeah, fighting wise, it was decent. It definitely does not have the budget of a movie, which, granted, I mean this is much longer than a movie overall,
Hmm.
so I get it. Um, and honestly, I really loved the love and care they put into the sitcom aspect of it. I
I
love
guess it really isn't like it's not an action
no,
show. I think that'll be
right,
more of Falcon Winter Soldier. That's where
yeah,
like cool
that's
combat
going to
is going
be
to
an
be at.
action combat show. Yeah, this
That's
was very
true.
much
Yeah.
a Twin Peaks weird, bizarre kind of style show that kind of delves into sitcoms, and kind
Yeah.
of diving into our next area of presentation. Whoever the people are that made these opening songs for like the first 5 episodes, 6 episodes of the show, they need to be given all like the jobs in the world because they did such an incredible job of these openings. Um, from the Dick Van Dyke show, I Love Lucy, Brady Bunch, Full House, like every decade for each of these episodes, I just loved going into just because I was like, oh my gosh, this is The Office, this is Brady Bunch, this
That
is
was a
I
funny
Love Lucy.
intro, the Office one. That was
Yeah,
really good.
it was so cool, and it kind of I just love how they went from black and white to that very like kind of fuzzy color in the 80s and 70s to finally, the 2000s era with HD. And I just feel like the show overall did such a great job with kind of navigating that style because at first we were like, why are we doing this? Like, why are we
Hmm.
going through these sitcom style TV shows? Like, is it just Wanda kind of idealizing what she wants her life to be in America, growing up in, and part of it is like that because like we see in episode 8, her background, we see that she grew up in Sokovia in this like ragtag little apartment where outside people are literally like shooting and firing on each other and they're just trying to get away from it by escaping into the Dick Van Dyke Show or into these sitcoms that she grew up loving. And you see how that became where she wanted to be,
Yeah.
and it all kind of tied together beautifully in that way, I believe, at least for me.
No, for
And
sure.
it kind of for me goes into, and I'll just quickly touch on it, kind of what I was talking about before of like how this show was really about her handling her grief of the death of the Vision in Endgame, um, and coping with it. And for me, that was like the cycle of this show was her overcoming loss. Um, and like with the Kubler-Ross model of grief, you start off with denial, which honestly, those first 2 episodes of Black and White, was denial. She was denying the fact that the Vision had died. Like she literally was living with him as this perfect housewife in this black and white era. Anytime when the beekeeper showed up or the agent showed up from the sewer, she just said no. And it like rewound and redid itself so that she was like, oh, that didn't happen. And I deny that it existed. And then we get into anger. And then, you know, in the 70s and 80s, Vision is starting to see what's happening here, and he's questioning Wanda. He's telling her like why are you doing this? Why are you doing this like to these people? And she gets angry with him. They start to fight each other. Like there's that great scene early in the show where, you know, he raises her voice at him and she like kind of like levitates and he levitates back to just kind of be like, oh, are we about to fight? Like, and like there's the anger there of like she's angry because she's losing control of her reality that she's built out of denial. And then there's bargaining, where she literally leaves the hex when she realizes that Sword is not going to leave her alone. And she's like, all right, here's the deal. Stay away from me and no one's going to get hurt. You know, like I'm bargaining for the world I've created for myself and you're going to let me have it. And then finally you get to Depression, where in that like Office episode, that Modern Family style episode, she's just kind of losing grip of her powers. Like everything's just kind of fizzing around into different eras, and she's really upset and talking about how nothing matters and that the world is empty, and she's just kind of over it. And then finally Acceptance, where she says, okay, I did a terrible thing, you know, like out of my grief that I originally did not mean to do, I held this entire town captive, and I have to own up to that, and I have to accept that I did a terrible thing. And they'll never forgive me, and they shouldn't forgive me, but I'm going to let them go, and I'm going to accept the fact that the Vision is dead, that these kids are not real, that they are people that I created for myself. She literally says, I created you from within myself, from the power of the Mind Stone. Like I made you into being of myself, of my blood. Like it's kind of like a God thing, you know, like she's like, you were kind of made of me, so you are real, but only because I made you so.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why it was powerful that when they're like saying goodnight to the kids, like she's saying like, thank you for choosing me to be your mother.
Yeah.
Like she could have easily forced them to love her and to accept her as her mom, but she gave them the choice at the end. And they chose to like help her and protect her when like the soldiers arrived. And like I really loved that line because it kind of just shows like, oh, she didn't force them to do anything. They protected her of their own free will. And so it was just kind of a beautiful kind of cycle of grief, you know, like it's honestly a very sad show. Like it's very sad subject matter. It's a sad reality that as viewers we know the truth, you know, we know what's going on. Once we hit the episode where we actually know what's going on, at first we're like, what the heck is happening here? But we know something's not right, you know, like something's not real here or something. And I just feel like in that way I think that's why I enjoyed the show so much, is I feel like the way that they built it presentation wise around what the story it was that they were trying to portray, that they handled that masterfully.
Yeah, no, it was really good, and it was definitely sad seeing her go through all the struggles that she did, and it lasted for, I mean, I don't know, her pain just never really ended, because, you know, she grew up, she then had to work with Hydra, which, you know, I can't imagine that was great, and then like
Probably.
And then, you know, it wasn't really until Ultron and she got a taste of the Avengers, which even then they were kind of locking her away, you know, and like
Right.
she really, oh, she just really went through a lot. Sorry, I'm so quiet. I randomly feel like I just like messed up my pinky finger. It's like in a lot of random pain, and I'm trying to think of what I've done.
Oh no.
Because I've just been sitting here and I'm like, bro, is my pinky broken? I literally haven't done anything. I'm holding a Growlithe plushie in my hand right now, just like rubbing it on its head. And now my pinky hurts. And it's the most confusing thing in the world. I don't know what's going on.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
Dude.
But okay, let's dive into some post credits. Let's do the first post credit scene where you see the scrolls. and you see Monica, and you see the scrolls pointing to pretty much Samuel L. Jackson, who is in space. So that, what a lot of people are talking about is that's teasing the Secret Invasion. Do you know what that is? Have you heard about that?
No, what is that?
Okay, so the Secret Invasion, Kevin Feige, he's already claimed that the Secret Invasion is going to be a movie, and it's not going to have an insane cast, which he's already said it's not going to have like Endgame size cast by no means. And I think this is where Monica is really going to start to shine. So Secret Invasion is a little limited series that was made. I need to check the year. I think it was like 2008, I believe, is whenever they started. Yes, 2008, June to January of 2009. So the Secret Invasion is about scrolls and shapeshifters and how they have infiltrated pretty much like the U.S. government. Yes. And these shapeshifters are like taking control of Earth because they're planting themselves as like higher powered people to kind of rule. And so the Secret Invasion is about fighting back to that. Now, it's not going to have, obviously, like the people who appeared in like the comics. So, for example, the comic characters included people from the New Avengers, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Nick Fury, Inhumans, obviously Skrulls, Norman Osborn was in it. So there's going to be like, obviously a lot of those probably won't be, but we know that Samuel L. Jackson is in space, right? We know that he has been somewhere in space hanging out with the Skrulls. And what does Nick Fury know how to do better than investigate and like learn about everything? So I guess he's just been chilling up there and doing like research on Earth, and they've been probably like pinpointing like what maybe like government officials or whatever they might be, like who are fakes and who are reals. And I think the whole thing was that Nick Fury saw Monica and he does what he does best. He finds people of great strength and it's like, I want you. And so I think she was the first person that he was recruiting for this Secret Invasion movie, which is going to be fighting back against these shapeshifters so that they don't control Earth. Right? Isn't that kind of really cool?
Yeah, I kind of like that idea as like a side kind of mission for this universe.
It kind of gives me like Captain Marvel vibes, because I felt like because of how they released Captain Marvel was so towards the end, but then it was like obviously in the past. It kind of gives me that vibe where it's like, oh, this is like a really cool storyline that's going to be kind of put in here to give us some fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be really cool. I honestly, too, as Monica kind of masters more of her power, she could be a very key figure into that, because she, and I could have this completely wrong, but it seems like it, she has the ability to be able to see and tell the differences in like materials to like the organic level.
Oh,
yeah. You know what I mean? Like she's able to see that the necklace on
Boner
fake Quicksilver, on Boner's neck was what was giving him his power.
Oh,
you know, like she was able to see the bullets coming at her and change her body, to just have them go all the way through her without damaging her.
So maybe
so
she could see
it
the
stands
scrolls.
to reason that it stands to reason that maybe she would have the see like on like the microscopic level if people are actually people or if they are Skrull. I don't know why I called them Kree. But maybe it is Skrull. I don't know. It's Skrull sounds right. But yeah, that would make a lot of sense if like she kind of learns how to do that. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, so that was what a lot of people were saying is like the hint. I guess because I didn't realize that the invasion thing was already declared like a film. And so I think that the main part that gave hint at that was the fact that you see a scroll at the end, and then obviously they're pointing to the big, the guy up there wants your help, and so that's what a lot of people were piecing together. I think overall with these post credits.
Oh, no. Did I lose you? Oh wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay, sweet. I think the one thing that I was just a little disappointed with both of these, and I'll let you maybe kind of dive more into the second one. I was just kind of sad because like Marvel has just given out so much about like, hey, we're making these shows and we're making these movies. And I think I have to kind of change my mindset now on these post-credit scenes, because it was like when I saw the WandaVision thing, it made me just think like, okay, yeah, something's going to happen in Doctor Strange. And
right.
It's like, yeah, I know she's going to be in Doctor Strange. Or like in this first one, it's like people, I guess, already knew that the Secret Invasion was going to be a thing. It's more of just, oh, now that Monica's going to be like a key person into it. Whereas in the past, post-credit scenes were like a oh, holy crap, that's the next movie. You know what I mean? Like when you see like Captain America,
know what they were gonna do.
Yeah, you're like, whoa, Captain America's getting a movie. Or at Endgame, you're like, wow, Captain Marvel's getting a movie. And then it had more of that, like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. Whereas these two, I was like, oh yeah, I saw that coming, but now I know like a little bit more as to what's gonna be and what's to come. So it's, it's not that it was bad. I guess I was just hoping, I don't know, maybe I was like hoping we were going to see some cool like S tier superhero appear or something like that. And it would have been, I don't know, but.
Oh, I mean, a lot of people wanted it to be Magneto. They wanted like the realization of mutants to be there. Like him to appear and be like, hey, daughter.
Oh
like,
my gosh, I would have freaked.
Oh, yeah. Especially with the actor that plays Magneto in the new X-Men. Perfect.
Oh yeah, he is a good
bring
one.
Over. Chris Fassbender, I think his name is, or something like that. He's a great Magneto, but yeah, I think they're just deciding to take it a different way. I'm sure that whenever they do introduce the X-Men and the mutants, like that, it's going to be a really great plot twist that we don't see coming. See, that's my thing, is like I feel like these moments that we're waiting for, like the multiverse, the X-Men, like we know they're coming, we just don't know how or when.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a great surprise moment still. But you're right. I think this is the first time Marvel's ever done that thing of like they just kind of have announced their roadmap for the next like 10 years.
Yeah. I mean,
like here's everything that's coming out. And so you like, it just leaves people the ability to kind of build up expectations for what they want it to be, and then they'll be disappointed when it isn't that.
Yeah.
And so like a lot of people I know were really disappointed with the ending of the show, because they were like, man, like this was supposed to be the birth of the multiverse. This was supposed to be the arrival of the X-Men. Quicksilver was supposed to be the first X-Men in the Marvel universe. And I was like, I get that, but like they were hinting at that, yes, but they were hinting at it just like they were hinting at it in Spider-Man Far From Home, when Mysterio was there and he was talking about multiverses, and Peter Parker was geeking out and he was like, no way, multiverses are real. And you find out that Mysterio was just pulling his chain and it was all like fabricated. And it's like, they keep hinting at it and we know it's going to come. You just have to be patient and know that they're going to do it their way. And I don't know, for me personally, I have full faith that they're going to do it well. Endgame for me just kind of solidified. Like I remember seeing Endgame in theaters and just thinking, how in the world did they so masterfully, at least in my opinion, tie together 22 films or 21 films, whatever it is, into such a great ending? And it just worked beautifully. And I have to have faith that they can do it again with Phase 4 and on whatever they decided to do next. But
they Endgame really did tie everything. I mean, in Endgame they still even had Howard the Duck in there. They even brought him, and he was just in like a random like outro scene of like, I think like the first Guardians. It's like, man, they did a great job really just bringing everyone back. That was so funny.
Oh, it's such a love letter to nerds everywhere. I
Oh
love it so
yeah.
much.
So how did you? So I talked about the first one. So how did
Yeah.
you? What did the second or the final post credit? What do you think that's kind of bringing forth, and like what did we see, and what do you think's coming now because of what we saw?
Oh, in the rural mountains of Alaska, wherever she is now. I have no idea. Wherever she is now, it looks beautiful. I was
I
like,
know.
man, that looks like a great place to get away. I'm telling you right now. But I thought it was interesting that she has the ability to create a version of herself to just, I guess, keep the house up to date. I don't know.
It's what
Or
Doctor
like
Strange does.
the what?
It's what Doctor Strange does. Remember?
Oh, that's right. I
He
totally forgot.
sleeps, and then his like Parisian reads books while he sleeps and stuff.
Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Um, I'm glad you caught that. I totally didn't catch that. I honestly need to rewatch Doctor Strange. I really did not remember a lot of that movie.
It's a good
Uh,
time to now because of where we're at.
yeah, I'll need to rewatch it for sure. Um, but specifically seeing her in her outfit, kind of meditating and reading Dark World, um, it does make me fear for Wanda. Like that was the thing, like you said, like this show ended in a way that still held Wanda, I wouldn't say as a hero, but definitely as someone who is vying more on the side of good.
Yeah,
Um
she's
I
like
think
right
we're
over the middle.
yeah, I honestly think we're past the point of Wanda being a hero.
Mm.
And more as like I said before, an OP god tier type superhero or superhuman, I should say,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of is in a neutral zone.
Mm.
She literally has the power to do anything. Um, and it kind of like for me, like and I've always felt this way about Magneto too. It's a character you love, but are always kind of wary of. There's always that like
Mm.
red, that like bloody red undertone to her that like she comes across as nice and happy, but there's darkness there, understandably so, with her
Yeah.
life and how she's lived. But even when she was saying, these people are never going to forgive me for what I did, and Monica says they won't know what you gave up. In my mind, I was like, it doesn't matter what she gave up. Not to these
Yeah.
people. These people like were like made hostage. This woman was not able to see her child. Like, what else were these people not able to do?
Yeah.
It's awful. It's absolutely awful. And there's no like justifying it.
No,
Like
not at all.
even at first with it happening out of her control, of just out of her grief, she mentally chose to keep these people there, to keep them in this like timeline of herself. Oh, you're going to go here every day. You're going to be my next door neighbor. You're going to
Mm.
do this. This is your role in this sitcom. It was really twisted. And I get that it was coming from a place of grief, but it was still wrong. And even the Vision knew that. And she knew that by the end. As she was leaving the town, like everybody was like staring at her like, oh man, if I could take you down right now, I could, but I know you would tear me to pieces.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think we are definitely past the point where Wanda is ever going to come back as a hero.
Mm.
I see her being a character that is trying to learn about her power. For me, when she was reading The Darkhold, it was her trying to learn as much about her powers as she possibly could.
Yeah.
And then the moment when she hears the boys, I think that was the first time she heard them,
Yeah.
because she all of a sudden looks surprised. And
Mm-hmm.
and I think when she hears them, that's kind of the Easter egg of, oh, like, they're obviously being held hostage. They're saying help.
Yeah.
So I think that's where Mephisto comes into play. I definitely think he's still going to be in this universe. I definitely
Mm-hmm.
still see him being the big bad for Phase 4. But I feel like Wanda's going to have to fight either for him or do something for him to keep her kids alive. And I do ultimately see Wanda sacrificing herself or dying for the greater good, for like to save humanity or to save the Avengers, what have you. I do believe she'll sacrifice herself and her life, possibly, probably being the one to take down Mephisto. And this is all speculation, of course, but like, you know what I mean? Like the best good this character can do at this point as a hero, quote unquote, is probably sacrificing herself to save everyone, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
and I think that's the good tie. I think that's that ending post credit is really the tie in the start of Doctor Strange's new film. I really think
yeah,
that's a pretty big role. Maybe it's Wanda wanting to seek more information because he has all the knowledge in the library. He has more texts, and he has those who even know about the book that she's reading. And I think that's definitely going to be maybe either she seeks him out or vice versa. It'd be very interesting to see
right.
that too.
And for those listeners that don't read the comics, myself included, I kind of learned about this character just digging into the lore of WandaVision. Mephisto is basically the devil
Yeah.
of this of the Marvel universe, which honestly falls in line with Sherlock's like very like that kind of magic coming from a kind of dark a dark area in our history,
Mm-hmm.
but it's that idea of Mephisto is kind of the devil of this world, and so like it would make sense if he is the one, because in the comics I think he uses the kids against her to kind of control her in some way, shape, or form, and so
Mm.
obviously Disney can take that and do with it what they will. Um, but I think you make a lot of great points where I totally could see like Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Wanda coming to Doctor Strange and being like, "Hey, I need knowledge. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I've read this book. I've learned everything I can from this text. I need you to teach me more." Um, and then, like, I could definitely see like Mephisto being introduced as the big bad from that movie, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
him maybe taking Wanda away and Wanda beating down Strange for like at the end of the movie or something like that, or
Oh yeah.
like you know what I mean? Like not killing him, but like I could see the movie ending with Wanda kind of cementing herself as like partly antagonistic for this phase, out of necessity to save her kids, um, until she can potentially take down Mephisto. Like I said, this is all just theory,
Oh, for
and
sure.
this is
Yeah.
how I would like kind of would see a really cool idea story wise of it coming to play. I'm sure they'll come up with something even better than what I'm thinking of, but just in my mind, that kind of makes sense, um, of what they'll do with her character. Because I don't think we're going to see Wanda come back ever again as a hero.
Yeah.
I think she's accepting who she is, and the Scarlet Witch, like like the thing that she has done to this town, I think has kind of cemented her away from a hero status.
Yeah.
Like I don't think it's and I'm not saying that she can't be a good person, that she can't help and save people. I just don't think that she can, on her end, say I'm an Avenger anymore, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
Yeah. And I think the way that Marvel always does their big ticket villain is in this same way of either like the villain is usually teased throughout multiple movies, right? Like Thanos was
Right.
teased really early on. I think at the end of the
Yeah.
Avengers movie, you see Thanos first appear. And then they do certain things here and there and some other post credits. And I think Marvel's going to still stick to that. I think that who knows? I mean, maybe we'll even see some like Mephisto stuff with like Falcon and Winter Soldier, maybe. And then like in the upcoming movies and stuff, we might see some more maybe post credit stuff that's gonna like tease it. And then
Right.
because of how late, and even like Spider-Man, I bet we're gonna see something with Spider-Man. And I think with how late Doctor Strange is coming out, I could see that being where they finally say, here he is. This is maybe even what he looks like. And then
Yeah.
afterwards, it's like, okay, here is
His plot.
yeah,
Like, yeah.
maybe it'll be called I don't know, maybe it'll be called New Avengers, maybe it'll be called, you know, like Marvel Rise of the New Avengers or something like that. Like, I feel like that's gonna come very shortly after the Doctor Strange film. At least them like teasing it, talking about it, saying like, hey, we've led you all up now to this point. We've had all these shows, we've had a few movies. We kind of want to get into some new Avengers stuff and then start making some more spin-off movies as well. Yeah, I think that was a good post-credit. I mean, I still, like I said earlier, I have some fear with her holding on to that book because it is very Horcrux-like and has a lot of darkness. I think that definitely backs up what you're saying. She won't be coming back. It's going to be too hard to come back to being someone good, at least in the eyes of humans in that universe. She might be seen as good to, like, you know, like other Marvel like heroes and stuff, because she'll probably make sacrifices obviously that no one knows about. But I have a feeling in the eyes of like your average person, it'll be too hard to come back from what she did.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, Sword isn't going to make that any easier.
No way.
And I won't take too much longer because I know we're at time much, but kind of to your point, I love what you said about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness kind of being that kind of the turning of the key of this phase, almost, of like, okay, so we got, you know, Shangri-La and the Ten Rings, we got the Eternals. Honestly, I have no idea about anything of those two stories, so I'm actually really excited because I have no idea what they are, and that's exciting for me because it might be something completely new that pulls into things that I didn't even think about. You know, we have Black Widow, which is it's a past story, so it's like it's going to be fun, but it's not going to like give us anything new to this new phase, I would say, outside of her character and how she grows. But the one that I think could be another really big turning point is the final film that is they've said it is the final movie of 2021 if these movies come out as they should be the rest of this year, which I think they will. I think Disney is finally at the track where they're like, okay, we are now ready to say Black Widow's coming out in May, Shangri-La and the Ten Rings is coming out in July, The Eternals is coming out in September, and I'm making these dates up. They are all four slated for this year. I just don't know the actual dates. And then ending the year with Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think there's a big reason for that, because in Spider-Man No Way Home, it has been confirmed that every single Peter Parker before is coming back into this movie. And so in my mind, that makes me think, okay, is the final film of 2021 going to be the one that actually finally brings the multiverse into being? Because how are we going to bring in these other Peter Parkers otherwise? Unless they're just Easter eggs again. You know what I mean? Which to me would be such a waste. Like, just bring us Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield as Spider-Mans in this universe. Maybe retired Spider-Mans, but actual Spider-Mans. And it would just be so cool if like the final Spider-Man film introduces the multiverse, like the actual multiverse.
Yeah, I think it will. Yeah. That title really gives off like a lot of like speculation because it's called No Way Home. Well, it almost sounds like he's like leaving, maybe even like gets trapped, because they left him out to die in the end of his second movie.
Far From Home, his identity is revealed. Yeah, his identity is now at the end of Far From Home, and so it's like, what happens now?
Yeah.
Like, the title makes sense because it's like, yeah, you can't really go home because everyone knows who you are. Like, you can't go back to Aunt May because she'll be targeted. She's probably already going to be targeted.
Yeah.
You know,
but I mean, like all the other Avengers, everyone knows them. That's where it's almost like, is it that? I mean, I guess it's just because it's massive.
That's a great point, actually.
But I mean, like, everyone knew Tony Stark. Chris Rogers just hung out. I mean, everybody knew Thor. They're taking pictures of him, sending tweets. So it's just like, is it like that intense that he was known, or is it more of just like because his identity? Like, he wasn't like the way, like he wasn't the one to tell him, you know, it was just kind of like thrown upon him. it's just like weird because
Yeah.
it's such a weird universe because everybody knows all these superheroes, which is less like not really how it goes.
Well, it's kind of like that, and to me, it's like Peter Parker is the youngest Avenger.
Yeah,
He's a teenager. He's
teenager.
what
Yeah,
in the movies he's 16.
yeah,
Um, and like he's powerful, but when you see Spider-Man, well, when you see like Captain America or Thor crossing the street, you know who he is. You don't want to mess with him. Like
true.
even villains would be like in broad daylight would be like, yeah, yeah, let's go the other way or something like
Yeah,
that. Like um
Peter Parker hasn't grown into his powers yet. Like he still hasn't even like had Spidey sense yet, right? Haven't they just like kind of teased that he has some Spidey senses?
I think that they've no, I think they've shown the Spidey sense. Like I think he's powerful and I feel but he's definitely still learning. He's a young Peter. I think that's gonna play a lot into No Way Home because maybe Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire will kind of train him. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, hey, here's what you got to do, man.
grow
Like,
up, kid.
well, yeah, like this has been and honestly, these last two Spider-Man films have been my favorites ever.
Ah, so
But they've
good.
been for the most part, they've been very lighthearted. And honestly,
Mm-hmm.
any Spider-Man previous, you can't really say that. Any Spider-Man previous is very hard and very dark. Like people
Yeah.
in his life die,
Yep.
and like we don't really see other than Tony Peter having to deal with anything like that. And so now I wonder, now that people know who he is and that he's no longer just an average kid trying to get through high school, how is that going to deal with how is he going to deal with that psychologically? And so I'm just super excited to see this. Just talking about it makes me super excited for where we're heading in the Marvel universe, but because it's all speculation at this point, but it's fun to like think of what they're planting here, especially with WandaVision and where it can go from here.
Yeah, Marvel has set the stage. They're ready to go. This is definitely the year of like the shows trying to add some additional content. First year doing it. It's cool, it's fun, it's exciting, adds like a whole new spin onto what we've normally gotten out of Marvel. There's a lot of Marvel coming out this year too, which I feel like that alone is new for them. Mixture between all the movies and all the shows, but they're setting the stage strong. It was good. Finale was cool. Post credits were pretty cool. And yeah, I'm excited to start talking Falcon Winter Soldier here in a couple of weeks.
I can't wait, man. I'm so hyped. I'm ready for something like Winter Soldier, and just give it to me.
I know. I really just want some cool action, some cool like, I don't know, some cool combat.
I think, yeah, I'm sure that's what we're gonna get.
It's got to,
just from the trailers. It's just like, yeah, this is that style of show.
Yeah, Bucky always gets in trouble. He always finds like someone to fight, so it should be good.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Well, sweet. Well, that's definitely, I think, a good wrap up on how the WandaVision goes. It was fun. I'm glad that we were able to kind of talk both spoilers and non-spoilers. So if you stuck around to this point, let us know what you all thought. I hope you guys enjoyed it, the show just as much as we did. But yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. This is super cool that we get to kind of record and just talk about it so fresh with the final episode being released today. So I'm excited for us to probably do something like this again for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Honestly, it'd be kind of cool. I don't know what you think, Tyler, but just to kind of do these types of reviews for like the movies too, as we just continue to go down this Marvel Cinematic Universe road.
Yeah, definitely. We will totally be doing this stuff in the future.
Awesome.
But I think it's a good place to stop. That was episode 11. We're excited to kind of kick back some things and start getting back into the swing of stuff. So next week we should kind of be getting a little bit more back into the video game news as much as we can. Might have to kind of dive into other things depending on how things go.
But, how much video game stuff is happening?
Yeah, for sure. But we'll be excited. We're eager. We're glad to be back at it. Definitely appreciate you all kind of stopping by, and definitely look forward to next week. So we'll catch you all later.
See you all later. Thanks for joining.